My name is Gabriel, and I've been rejected my whole life.
How have you been rejected?
I've been rejected through social things and also dating relationships.
Tell me about the social things. What does that mean, getting rejected in social things?
I remember when I just never been good at sports, and so I remember when I was a kid, maybe like first grade, second grade, I remember nobody picked me on. You know, they have like the group play kickball, and they have all everybody line up, and then they picked everybody. I was like the last person to get picked. Basically, it's just like, all right, fine, type of thing. Like, you're the last one.
What school did you go to?
I don't remember. It was some small Christian school,
Was it where? What city?
Bakersfield.
Was it started by Christian?
No, it was before I went to talk to Christian.
How old were you when that happened?
8, maybe? How old are you when you were in first grade? That's how old I was.
You were 8 in first grade.
I don't know how old the first graders are. I don't know.
Let's just say this: most people start kindergarten at 5.
So 7. No, 7 or 8. I don't know.
So you were probably in second or third grade.
First or second. Because when I was in third, I went to talk to Christian.
Okay.
No, did I? No, 5th grade is when I started because I had Mr. No, 4th grade because I missed picking.
Okay. But you remember specifically that moment of kickball?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember being at school a lot. At that school, I remember I hid behind a slide because I wasn't picked. I don't want to play anymore.
Tell me about that.
I just was under a slide, standing there like this, watching
What's your point?
the kickball.
Because you didn't get picked?
I mean, I got picked, but it was like, I didn't get picked. It was just the last one there. So you don't get picked. You're just like, all right, you're on this team.
Tell me how that specific instance manifested in your life. Like, that was a small example, but a powerful story. Tell me how you saw that happen in your life.
It happened through my life. I think I just, little things like that just kind of add up over your life, and then you start to have this, like, core belief. Have you ever seen Inside Out 2? You know when she's, like, something happens to her when she's playing the hockey, and then, like, that little ball drops down, and it's like, oh, now it's a core belief. Like, that's kind of like what's happened. That's a good visual representation of, like, little things that happen, and then eventually those little memories turn into a core belief about yourself.
What was the core belief that you think formed in that moment?
That I wasn't good enough. That's what I would say, the core belief.
Were there other examples of things like that happening, or just the kickball?
No, there's other examples. That was just one I can think of right now at the top of my head. That happened, I remember when I was always just smaller, and so people always just made comments on that. And then also, when you like when you're like somewhat different in school, like kids, anybody who's gone to school knows this. Kids will point that out. So that's kind of what happened to me.
So how would you say that you were different?
I think I was just more goofy and smaller and not coordinated, and especially like as a young boy, so much emphasis is on sports. I feel like that's an American thing. Is maybe it's more than America, but specifically in America, is everything's on sports. And so if you're not good at sports, then it's like, I don't know, especially especially the people I hung out with, were more like sporty people, and so I was always kind of the outcast of the sporty kids. But I wasn't like smart enough to be like the nerd. So I was like, I wasn't like chess club kid, where it's like, okay, you hang out with other chess club. I don't know how to play chess. But then you got like your like super athletic people, and then I was just kind of like the other guys. You ever seen The Other Guy? It was like that.
So you felt like you never really fit into any group?
No, because then I was also in band, but I wasn't a band kid. So, yeah, I didn't really fit in with those people. It's almost like you just got two extremes, and then it's like I'm kind of just like in the middle somewhere.
So how did you deal with that as a kid?
A lot of times I just went off on myself, did things.
What did you do?
Well, it also didn't help that most of my life in school, from like 4th grade on, I lived like really far away from everybody, because we lived on the east side, and the east side was just like a different part of town. We grew up in Bakersfield, and it's kind of a big city, and it's about like 20 minutes from get to the east side to the west side, and so you're not like, oh, let's just hang out at someone's house like right after. It's like, well, I'm like 20 minutes away from everybody. On top of that, no one's going to my house because I grew into a private school, and the only reason I go there is because my mom was a teacher there, and so you get to go for free. So everybody else that's go there is like really rich, and then I'm like not rich at all. So I'm like, I really don't fit into that part too, because I'm already poorer than everybody.
Tell me a little bit about that part of your life. What was
being poor?
Yeah. What was that like?
Well, I don't think we were like that poor when my dad was there. I mean, we weren't like well off. My dad was a janitor, but my mom was a teacher, so it's like you don't really have a ton of money, and especially with 3 kids. So we were like low middle. I would say we were like low middle class, but like everything was just like. Yeah, I remember our first house was my mom tried to put a picture on the wall, and the nail went like completely through the wall because the walls are so thin. And then yeah, and then we grew up like luckily we got like, it's like we started like really poor when I first moved to Bakersfield, because I'm from Long Beach originally. And we grew up in this neighborhood called Crawford, and there was like this gang that was there, literally gang in this neighborhood. And then I think my parents got the promotion, and then we moved up a little bit into like a low middle class house. And then my dad left, and then we were poor again because we were back to like one income. My dad didn't pay child support or anything, and so it's like everything was about money, but not in a way that's like rich. It's like we don't have money. I remember going to the dollar store, and I would like want a little toy or something, and I was like, oh, let's get this toy. It was literally $1, and my mom was like, oh, we can't afford that. And I was like, how are we alive? Can we afford $1 a toy? And yeah, I remember all the like, and like never ate out ever, like Taco Bell. If we did eat out, and it was like $2 or less, and then it got to the point where it's like you couldn't do that anymore. $2 or less is impossible. Yeah, I don't know. Like, that was just the way of life.
You said that your dad left, tying that in with not feeling like you fit in with the sports people or the quote-unquote nerd people. Did you feel like you fit in with your family? Did you feel like you were really one of them?
My family, they put a lot of emphasis on like There's 2 things, and both of them I wasn't that good at. Wrestling, it was wrestling and music. Wrestling, I feel like I was okay at. I wasn't like the greatest wrestler or anything, but I could hold my own. But I wasn't like super athletic. And then music, I just didn't care about. I probably could have been not bad at music, but I didn't care at all. I didn't want to do it, and I did not like it at all. and so because I wasn't like those two things, it's like my brother actually got all the praise because he was really good at saxophone. But it's like nobody cares about saxophone now. I don't know. It was just kind of funny. The irony, I feel like now it's like nobody cares about that anymore. But my brother's still good at saxophone, I guess.
Well, how did that feel when your brother got affirmation about doing something? And did you get affirmation about anything?
Not really. I'm trying to think. Because I wasn't like a... I got good grades, but I wouldn't be like an academic, like, oh my gosh, this guy's so good at like, homework, school stuff. And then never really got a ton of affirmation with sports. And then never was not anything about music. No. I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, not really. I didn't think about it then. Like, oh, I'm not getting affirmation for this. I just didn't think about it. I was just like, oh, this is just life.
Tell me what it looked like after school. You said that you didn't really have friends because they lived in different parts of town. You'd go home. What would you do?
Well, I did wrestling, so I would go have wrestling practice. And then I would just go home and just either like watch like video games. That's what I used to play a lot. I used to play a lot of video games. I did have, it's not like I had zero friends, but I had like a few friends, and I had one, we would play games together like online or something.
Go back though, before online, like when you were a kid.
Play a lot of games by myself, actually.
Yeah. So, what did you like about playing games by yourself?
Yeah, I like that you can get like engrossed in a story, and you could also just, I don't know, it's just a form of entertainment that you can do, and you don't really need a lot of people to be involved. I mean, I'm like, things are much better with people, but, back then it's just like, and I always like, because we didn't have a ton of money, I would always have like that, I would have like that, like let's just say like when like the PlayStation 2 was out or something like that, I had like a Nintendo, or like not even Nintendo, like an SNES, like old school. So it was always like 3 generation consoles lower than what was actually out. Yeah, when I was a kid.
You told me a really powerful story one time about the when you got your Heelys or your skate shoes or whatever they were. Tell me that story again.
Oh yeah, when I got Heelys. Yeah, when I was a kid, I remember I got these. They weren't even Heelys. We couldn't afford Heelys. They were off-brand Heelys. Anyways, so like the shoe, the shoe, like there was like wheels underneath them like this, and you'd push a button, and the wheels would just like come out like little like skates, literally. If you think Heelys are cool, they're way cooler because you just on your heel, and the little wheel pops out. But these were kind of lame. Anyways, I had them as a kid. My mom got them for me, and then I was excited to show my dad, like these new shoes I got, the new things. And then I don't even know what it was about. They got mad over money or who knows. But my parents started fighting, and then I didn't know what to do, and then they were both mad. Like they were yelling loud. And then I remember going in my room with the shoes still on and my pants and everything, and I just like went to sleep because I didn't know what to do. The easiest thing for me to do was just go to sleep.
Tell me about how. Well, I guess I should ask this question. Do you feel like in that moment you were rejected?
Yeah, I would say so. Just because, like, rejected by your parents. I think a lot of people feel that, like, they don't get the affirmation or the attention that they would want from parents. So it's like you're excited about something, and then you can't share it because people are mad.
Let me ask you this: What would you say is the opposite of rejection?
Opposite of rejection would be acceptance.
So, what does that word define? That word to me, and like what does that look like?
Acceptance would be like you get affection and affirmation from just being you. you're accepted for whatever you're doing, rather than like if you don't meet this certain criteria or this certain level of success in whatever is people put value on. It could be anything. Then you can feel rejected that you don't reach that level.
So based on that definition, would you say that you felt accepted by your family?
No. From that, based on that definition.
Your definition.
That's true. My definition.
Is that hard? Is that hard to acknowledge or weird to acknowledge?
I mean, I'm not super close to my family. I wouldn't say that's like heartbreaking or anything like that. I think it's more just like, oh, I never put words to it like that. I don't know if I would go say it that far ever.
Mm-hmm. So let's continue on. Do you remember the first time that you were rejected by a girl?
Maybe? I'm trying to think. The first time. I don't know necessarily remember the first time.
What story comes to mind when you think about that?
I think when I was younger, I was just too afraid. I'm trying to think of like the first time when I was younger, but I don't know if there was when I was younger because it was already made up in my head that I was already rejected because I already had that belief.
Tell me about that. What does that mean to already have that belief?
Well, it's just like you have certain things as you grow up and things that you might not even think of when you're younger, but it just kind of like as you get older and you actually start to be able to think, then those thoughts I feel like are already there because some things that happened there to you already. And so I already had that belief about myself that I wasn't good enough, I wasn't this, I wasn't that. Mm-hmm. Therefore, why would they want that? There's no point.
So your assumption was that people would reject you.
Yeah.
What did that belief do to you in a negative way in your life?
It made me afraid to do things or try things because I already know, like, because you already like believe like, oh, this is how people are gonna respond, or this is what's gonna be the outcome.
Can you think of ways that played out specifically? Where you didn't try to do something that you wanted to do because you assumed that they would reject you? Or?
I don't know. I can't think of any right now.
It's okay. Let's go back to the girl part. Do you remember a time specifically that really sticks out of when you felt really rejected and you put yourself out there? Because you just mentioned how because you had that belief of people are going to reject me, you didn't try things. So did that play out in dating as well? Let's start with that. Did that play out where you didn't ask?
Yeah, I remember when I was a freshman, I didn't ask someone to the prom because I was afraid to ask, and I didn't even go. I didn't even end up going because I was afraid to ask.
Okay. What was her name?
Well, that was freshman year. The freshman year her name was Caroline, I think. Pretty sure. And then I remember one year I was going to ask somebody, and then someone told me that, I guess they found out that I was going to ask them, and then they were like, oh, I don't want, like, basically like, oh, I hope he doesn't do that because I'm basically going to say no because, yeah. And then So I didn't even end up going through with it. I had a whole thing planned out. They didn't do it because, yeah.
What did you have planned?
I was gonna like go into the class and had like, I think I had like was gonna have like other people wear shirts or something like that, and then like it's like, will you go? Like everybody stands up or something like that. But I didn't even end up doing it.
How did you feel whenever that person told you that she didn't want you to ask?
I think I felt. I don't even think I ended up going that year. I felt, yeah, rejected, I guess, or just like, well, I guess it's like, it's like further confirmed what I already believed on myself.
Yeah. So now tell me, like, at what point did you even realize that you had the belief that people are automatically going to reject me? At what point did you become aware of this is my belief? And then I guess tell me like how that has progressed. Is that what you still believe now? I guess. No. What do you believe now?
I believe that. I mean, there's still like things that come up and fears, and I think the enemy knows how to get to us, and we'll pry on this. But for the most part, I believe like a lot of things like this is just who I am, and well, these are the things I like to do, and there's nothing wrong with that because God made me this way.
When you look in the mirror, what do you see?
I don't understand the question.
Have you ever looked in the mirror and just thought about what you think about yourself?
I think when I look into the mirror now, I'm so I'm pretty confident in myself.
What things do you like about yourself?
I like that I like that I'm getting married. I like that I am able to go to a place where I like to work. I like that I have a house. I like that I can be with somebody who can like enjoys it. I like that I can just be myself. I like that I've been like I know how like cause I'm shorter, so it's like now I'm like okay with that because I used to be a big insecurity of mine, but now I'm like it doesn't really matter because I literally can't do anything about that. There's nothing I can do. You can get more fit, you can get better at other like there's so many things you can just change about yourself or improve on, but like height is like or physical appearance, you can make yourself like you can't change like the actual like if that makes sense. Like you can't I can't make myself taller.
Yeah.
You can't change your like, you know, some of your features on your body. It's like
That's a pretty big conclusion that you came to. You said that it's pretty recent though. Tell me how it felt to be insecure about, for example, your height for so long and like but not being able to do anything about it. Did you feel trapped? Did you feel like you okay, well, there's things that
I think it's easy to fall into the trap, which is the trap I fell into, of blaming other people for not wanting something that you can't do anything about.
Tell me more of a specific example, because you just said that in an ethereal way, like a general way. There's a story tied to that.
So it's like, let's just say like somebody. Okay, let's just say my personal appearance. Like go back to that prom story. I found out later that she's like, I don't know if this is true or not, but oh, like I'm gonna be this high in my heels, and so I needed someone tall, like to go someone taller. And so that's like an example. But like there's two avenues you can go. Like the trap that I fell into, and a lot of people I feel like fall into, is like blaming other people for preferences they have. It's like, the girls only want, people who are 6 foot tall. It's like, but at the end of the day, like, guys want the same things. Like, guys want certain things. I don't think that's in itself wrong.
I have a song that I want to play. This is I've known you for a long time, so I know you.
Ever heard this song before?
Yeah, you've heard this song before. I'm gonna play it, and I want you to just listen to the first 20 seconds,
Okay.
and then I want you to talk about. Hold on a second.
It's a good song. It's Frank Ocean.
Wider than a mile, I'm crossing you in style.
Someday, make up my heart, break up wherever you're going. I'm going that way. Two drifters off to see the world. There's such a crazy world to see. We're all chasing after our same, chasing after our
What do you feel when you hear that song?
I feel like a bittersweet feeling.
Why?
Oh, because it's like I forgot how to even articulate this. Because on one thing, it's kind of like it's sad, but it's not a sad song. I think it was bittersweet because I used to listen to that song a lot. It's bittersweet because, like, it's almost like that thing that you want to share with somebody else, but you don't have that. So it's like bittersweet.
Because I know you, I know that many times after you experienced some sort of rejection from a girl or didn't work out with a girl, you would listen to that song.
I don't know if it was like right after that song, right after, but I just listen to that song a lot.
What motivated you? Why did you want to listen to that song?
I think songs like that just make me get in my feels, and I'm okay just sitting in my feels.
Why does it make you get in your feels?
I don't know. There's something about like a way a song goes. It just invokes a certain emotion in you. Because like the words he's saying is not necessarily like a sad song. Kind of like Tiny Dancer. Tiny Dancer is another one that's like, I mean, if you listen to the actual lyrics, it's like it doesn't have to do with anything how you feel, but that song makes me feel like everything's gonna be okay.
What in you desires so badly to know that just everything's gonna be okay?
I think for me, it's kind of like repeat the question. Like everything's gonna. Why is it important for everything to be okay?
Yeah, like you love that song, Tiny Dancer, because it makes you feel like everything's gonna be okay. What about knowing that everything is going to be okay? What about that?
It kind of is like it keeps you going. Like if you don't, if no one, if you never feel like, oh, it's some things are gonna get better and it's always just gonna be suck. It's like, what's the point? What's the point of going on if everything's always just gonna be suck? So everybody keeps going because there is always that hope that things will get better. As soon as you lose hope, it's like, that's it.
Did you ever feel hopeless in your journey of singleness?
Yeah, I feel hopeless because I felt like that I would be by myself the rest of my life. And I used to think I was an introvert because I used to be an introvert so long. A lot of times not by choice, just nature of circumstance. But then I realized that I actually don't like to be by myself. I like to be alone with certain people. Hence why I wanted to be married, because when you're married, you can have someone with you, but you don't have to be with all the time, but you don't have to be with, like, a bunch of people.
So tell me how this all changed. What was the turning point? You said your whole life you had this belief that I'm not enough and I will be rejected because of who I am.
Mm-hmm.
How did that all change? And what is it instantaneously?
No, it was just little things that kind of led up to it. I think the big change is when I went to this thing called like Regen, and I really went over there just to because it's like if anyone doesn't know what Regen is, it's like a recovery program, and for me it was always like it was sexual addiction and substance abuse, which came from just like a numbing mechanism. And so like the whole thing, because I feel like I realized that those are just like a weed, right? Like you don't watch like porn, then it's just, then you just, if you just like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna watch porn, then all you do is substitute that for something else. So like if you don't watch porn, then you substitute that for, I don't know, buying watches or being an alcoholic. Who knows, right? It literally can be anything. And so I wanted to figure out like, why do I do the things that I do? And so that's what that's one of the reasons why I went. That was one of the main reasons I went to Regen, was to figure out why. And I found that I was not okay with who I was, and evidence that I know this is because when I would do certain things that were not even necessarily bad, but they were just different, then I would like try to hide it. Anytime you try to hide something, it's shame. And so I remember I was watching this, like, I used to like this like YouTube guy. He did like retro, like he would just like talk about like super old video games and stuff like that. I thought it was pretty entertaining, but it was like kind of nerdy. And my roommates, who were both at the time, were both like super athletic, sporty people. And so like when they would like walk into my room, I would like close my iPad like I was like watching some like porn or something bad. But really I was just watching like a random YouTube video. And so I realized that I'm not okay with who I am. I'm not okay with the things that I like to do, like enjoy. And so I had to accept who I was and accept the things that I cannot change and fix the things and work on the things that I can change, to be the better. Rather than being a different person, you just become a better version of yourself. Rather than, yeah, that's kind of what I learned.
You mentioned earlier that you're okay with who God made you to be. How has your relationship with God affected all of this? How has he helped you through this process?
He's helped me in that I know that at the end of the day, like, God's the one that loves you, and He's always going to take care of you.
How did that help you specifically overcome feeling like you're not enough?
They helped me believe that I am enough in God's eyes, and He's the one that's gonna take care of me. Not, and once I started to like during that process and journey, I tried to like change certain things about myself, like, you know, physical appearance, like working out a lot, and then like dress differently, and I don't know, act differently, really just like things. But God, I learned that like even through those things, people are still gonna reject you, or people are not gonna do it. It's like you gotta what I learned was being true to myself and surrender it to God. Like, I just gotta do what God's telling me to do, and trust that He's gonna take care of it.
What would you tell someone who is listening to you speak, who is struggling with hopelessness, who feels like, I'm not enough, I will be rejected, I'm not going to put myself out there? Someone who feels like you felt, what would you say to them?
That it doesn't get any easier. I think that people say that, like, oh, if you do this, then things will get better. I don't believe that. I think that sometimes I think everything's in God's timing, and sometimes life's just not fair, and there's gonna be times where people, like, it just seems like everything just sucks for a very long time. But I do know that if you trust in God, then, and you do what He says, if you fear God and enjoy the things that you actually have in life, then things are going to work out. Maybe not tomorrow, or next week, but they will work out, and you would have so much more joy in life. Yeah, that's really it. It's just like fear God and enjoy what you have. Enjoy the things that you do actually have. Because especially if you live in America, it's like there's so many things that we have that we could enjoy.
What would you say or do if you had the chance to go back and talk to that 7-8-year-old boy that got rejected from kickball? To Gabriel, little Gabriel, what would you go tell him?
I would tell him that, I don't know what I would tell him, because I wouldn't listen to myself anyways.
But if he was guaranteed to listen, even if he wasn't, what would you want to tell him? What would be your heart?
Just say, like, you know what? Just be yourself and screw the haters, really. Because one of the things that I've realized was when I think a big changing point for me is when, like, someone, like, everybody, there's always going to be someone who doesn't like you or doesn't like the things that you do or who you are, whatever. But if you focus all your energy on trying to change that person's mind or change the haters, right, on their minds, like, you spend all the time like, okay, good, that person likes me, and then now that person doesn't like you. It's like it's just a never-ending cycle of, like, you just kind of have to be yourself and try to do the best that you can, and that's all you can do. There's no, like, secret sauce. I mean, there's things that you can do to better your life, but there's no, like, secret sauce of, like, if you do this, then you're guaranteed to get this. It's like life's just not fair, and that's just not how it works. You're just dealt the hand that you're given, and you kind of have to work with what you got. Like for me, like one of the things I think back of like being rejected by girls, right? 3 girls that I tried to date turned out to be lesbians. So, like what are the chances? I think, and it wasn't like, oh, you want to go on a date? Like, oh no, I'm lesbian. Sorry. Like it was like we were like talking, and then it was like later on, it's like, oh, they're a lesbian. So I was like, I don't know. I guess the conclusion of this is like you never know. I don't know. You just gotta roll the punches.
What would you say is the most important truth that you have ever found in your life?
Most important truth?
Yeah.
Most important truth? I don't know. Dang. Most important truth? I would say trust in God, and also be yourself. I was trying to think of a better way to say it, but I guess that's just the only way. It's like trust in God and be yourself. That'll be the 2 things.
That's great.
And eventually people will gravitate toward you. I don't know.
All right. That's good.
Yeah. Cut print done. I don't know. I feel like that was kind of rambling.